You know, these are things that are inside us, and we just all we do is project it onto brands. Uh, so and like Nike is an example of the hero archetype. You know, every part of their messaging is just all embodying the hero archetype to the fullest. You know, just do it. You know, their commercials with athletes, you know, overcoming challenges, you know, hard work, all that stuff. You can see in their messaging, you can see it on their social media, everything. Uh, it's it's ingrained, and it's basically it speaks to the people who also embody that archetype as well. They're like, wow, they really get me. Well, it's because humans have all these, you know, primal urges and primal instincts inside them, you know, and they just embody that. And there is a philosophy that says that each archetype is actually a stage in a person's life. So, for example, the innocent is just you just coming into the world, and you don't know anything, and you trust everybody, and you know, you're very gullible, but you're also very trusting, and you're not very negative towards new experiences. But then life throws you through a loop, and then you become the orphan. And then what the orphan is basically uh, you, you know, not trusting people, now needing being abandoned and needing to fend for yourself. So you discover independence through that. And the warrior, after that, the warrior is you understanding that you need to gain your own independence. So now you fight against everything. You know, you view life as a struggle. You know, you must conquer everything. You know, and then you become the ruler, and the ruler is a person who already has conquered all their things, all their demons, and now is just enjoying life, is just, you know, coming back, you know, from the hero's journey, and coming back with a new perspective, you know, and that he's the owner and the ruler of his own psyche, his own body. Uh, and then after that is the creator. After that, you understand things. You know, after you understand yourself, you're able to create things, and then you give back to society. Since you're not as cynical as you used to be. You know, now you give back to society, and that can also be called the caregiver as well. You know, when you start enjoying giving back to people, and and to perform properly. They want to show people what they're made of. You know, they're in that hero mindset. Uh, you know, what else? And after a while, you know, they could become in the sage mindset because they want to gain knowledge. You know, they're done. You know, fighting all this stuff. You know, they don't care about that much competition anymore. They're just more in the pursuit of knowledge. So people go through these different stages in life. Sometimes people don't always get out of those stages of archetypes, but that's because they haven't conquered their own personal problems within that archetype stage.
Hmm.
So
Nice.
yeah,
Okay. All right.
it, yeah,
That
yeah,
damn. That's a good way to apply that when creating brands too. Brand
yeah.
identity.
No,
I'm like, damn.
yeah,
I thought about it that
no.
way.
It is. It really is.
Like creating a brand identity around an architect type.
Yeah, yeah. Usually, I mean, I think brands do this unconsciously because I think archetypes, like, are like within us. But
Yeah.
the thing is, will never like say, "Oh, I love that brand because of so and so archetype." No one does that. They just like the
Right.
feeling that it gives them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they feel the hero, they feel the sage, they feel the the fool, they feel everything. You know. Uh, so I think I forgot one more. It's the lover. Fall in love with yourself and with life as well. At this point, you discover love. These brands that are, very love orientated and lover orientated are the ones that are like looking for pleasure. Like, it just loops over and over and over again, through life. You have moments that you're the orphan. There are moments that you're the warrior. You have moments that you're the creator. You know, and you have moments that you're the ruler. You know, uh, the ultimate goal at the end of all this, from this philosophy, is that the person becomes the fool, which means not fool in a negative sense. It's fool in the sense that you're just enjoying life, because the creator and the ruler are people that are still trying to control life. Still trying to control what it is that they are creating and what are they're ruling after. But all the fool does is just enjoys life, enjoys the flow of it. They know that life is messy, and they deal with that as it goes. So yeah, there's also the sage part, which is you just trying to gain knowledge, trying to figure out the truth of
Okay.
things. Yeah.
Let me
So
ask you something.
yeah, please go ahead. Yeah,
So
I've been talking a lot.
no
Yeah,
problem. So depending on what stage you are in, that's why you're attracted to certain brands.
that's correct.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, exactly.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
because yeah, and people don't think of it as that. Like, sometimes you think, oh, the archetype is just, that is the only thing that the person's ever going to be, but it's actually because the person is going through a stage of that, archetype cycle, and then they go and they look up to Nike. It's usually like, I don't know, it's like high school boys, are going to look up to Nike because they're in that stage of their life that they want to. So if you read up, more, uh, literature, you can just try to pinpoint out which characters embody that archetype more often than not. You can find them in movies, you can find them in stories, you can find them in literature. It's really, interesting once you start, dissecting characters and seeing, what they stand for. They don't just stand for some, just a person, but they stand for an ideal, an idea of human nature.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, man. I appreciate you hitting me with some knowledge, man.
Yeah. I mean, I thought you already knew this because I thought you were like Felipe, brand expert, brand
No,
extraordinaire.
no, and just like you said it, like brands do it without knowing they're doing it.
Yeah.
Like I kind of did it without knowing I'm doing it, but it's good to like put a face on it too.
Put a face on it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
What's interesting about like archetypes, and, especially the part where the person can't get over the archetype, is that the person is facing an inner problem that formulates itself as the shadow of the archetype, the negative side of the archetype. So, what if you're an orphan? You're always going to start blaming people, for your problems instead of assuming responsibility. The part of the orphan, the good part of the orphan, is to realize that not everyone's going to be out there for you. You need to gain some sort of independence on your own. But
okay,
if you deny that and you say that's not true, it's their fault or something like that, and you completely disagree with that, you're letting the shadow part of the archetype, resonate with you. And I don't know if, I don't think brands would focus on the shadow part. They always focus on the positive part
right,
of
right,
the archetype. The negative part is actually just something that comes from yourself,
right.
some inner problems that you have to deal with. So I don't think it
Yeah,
has to do anything with branding, more so that you need to recognize the shadow in order to move on in life to the next, uh, archetype, basically. Yeah.
cool, cool, nice. Now I'm starting to see it in brands. When I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, and I can see what they're trying to intrigue a certain type of archetype.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was taking like a screenwriting class. I think I showed you. I think I sent you a link on that one. And what I learned from that is that there's an interesting part where the guy's talking about when he's creating a character, he doesn't really care about the details. He just wants it to stand for something, an ideal of some sort, instead of, oh, what did they have for coffee, or, something like that,
Mm.
or he was born at that certain date. The character isn't born at that certain date.
Nice.
The
Okay.
character is born when the lights go on, when the show starts. You see, the
Okay.
character is never born. It's just
Yeah.
born only if the story allows it to be born. You get what?
Okay.
So
Exactly,
it's
man. Yeah, like
yeah,
yeah, like when you're creating a brand identity, you know that you don't know what you're gonna get, but you know it needs to stand for something, and then you build around it.
yeah,
Like you don't know what it's gonna look like, but you know whatever I'm making, it stands for this, and we need to build something around it. That's tight.
yeah. I do in branding user profiles. They're basically things that pinpoint to the target audience before anything, because I want to know the audience before I do any sort of branding, because I rather have the user be focused around the brand rather than the brand, I mean, the user being forced to conform to the brand's identity, So finding out what the user is and finding out what their archetype is, you use that, you create the brand archetype, basically. So it's not like the brand stands for something, but the brand starts with the user,
Mm,
always. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Because it's the person who's going to buy your stuff. It's the person who's going to always, be there, supporting your business. It's the person who's going to spread the word. So it's a very important part of branding is the user. And that you can use archetypes to identify those type of people. Uh, you can find archetypes in people as well. Like, I think, I think I did like a cross branding study. I think I showed on the other group. It was about like Gary Vaynerchuk and Nike, and how it's a
Yeah,
person
yeah.
and a company, but they're the
Hmm.
exact same thing in a way because they embody the exact same archetype, the same hero archetype. The same
Yeah.
attitude. You get the same feeling from them. If you take away the name, if you put the Nike logo next to Vaynerchuk, like the name Gary Vaynerchuk, it could have the exact same effect because you know the guy and you know what he stands for, and he stands for the exact same thing as what Nike stands for. So I thought that was like crazy when I found that out, because we always think about like brands, they're created as they're built basically. But when you figure out about archetypes and you figure out, you know, that branding is a feeling, then you realize that feelings don't actually build. Feelings are something that are already in there and they're just projected onto, things, onto objects, onto companies. In that case, it's branding when feelings are projected onto companies.
Okay. Dope, dope. So how's the agency coming along?
It's coming along. I sent my guy on like 2 network events in the States, so see what comes out of that. But it's been slow moving, but it's been coming along for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know my
So
first year isn't gonna be like spectacular,
hell
but
no.
it's a starting point. At least I got all the tax stuff and all the accounting stuff all out of the way.
Good.
Like just understanding what it is,
Hmm.
and then being ready to file the taxes and all the getting the LLC and all the legal stuff figured out. That's important. It's the boring
That it.
stuff people don't talk about in business at all.
Yep. So what's the agency called? Pixel what?
It's called pyro process.
Pyro
I
process. Okay.
basically, yeah, when I made the connection between pyro processing in chemical science, because apparently it says You put materials in a chamber, and then it creates a chemical or physical change. So I just cross-pollinated that idea, and then I created the business story around it, basically saying, we give you the materials, we just need your passion, which is your fire, your pyro, and then we change your business. We change your business in revenue, we change your business in awareness, we change your business in more customers, whatever it may be, that change that you're aiming for, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on.
You think about your own business
Yeah.
ideas?
Yeah. I've actually. I'm going back to basics. Like I said, I actually had a business name a long time ago. I just let it go because I was, I don't know, man. Trying to figure shit out.
I
So
know
I'm
how it
going.
is, man.
Yeah. So I went back. So I have the name again. I'm just gonna do it as a studio, pretty much.
Hmm.
Which pretty much all it is just a mini agency. But it's just the way I guess whatever feels right. And I guess as a studio feels right, and hopefully maybe as I get bigger and start bringing in more people, then maybe it'll be an agency. But we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, I'm not expecting to hire anybody, just to keep it lean at the moment. And then when I start, really getting a lot of clients, then I will start thinking about hiring.
Yeah, but it's good to look at it like that, like look at it as an agency where before I was more intimidated.
Intimidated. Yeah.
And that's probably why I started it. That's what I want to do, and then I fell off, got too intimidated, and just started doing my own thing as Felipe. But nah, man, I wanna be a something like a real business. And you could do a real business
Yeah.
as my name, but I don't want it.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was more like Roberto, where I want to be on screen all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally do not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it should be fun. I mean, I'm starting right now. I've been doing some, what do you call it? User profiles, like I guess like avatars.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
For like what? Your ideal customer or something like that?
Yeah, I'm trying to have at least 20. I want to create 20. Like putting a
Ooh,
picture. I like find pictures online, put a face on it, and then fill out their background.
nice. Yeah. But
So I've been doing that.
do you figure out like their problems, right? And then you sit you write down like, how do I exceed their expectations or exceed their
Correct.
problems? Because like, if you just identify their problems but you don't solve it, obviously there's a problem there. So
Yeah, and it's funny because another issue that got me lost was I was focused too much on the client because everyone tells you to focus on the client's problems. But what ended up happening with that was it took me away from the purpose I was doing, like the art of it. All these businesses that are successful, there's still the art of whatever the thing is. And
yeah,
I totally moved away from that.
it's the balance. It's the
Yes,
balance. You can't
exactly.
just be all business or all craft. You have to be between the two. Yeah. So yeah, we could move on to the next topic about basics of positioning.
Right.
So basically, I put like on the graphic designers tip lounge a chart that shows the design industry, you know, as I see it. I don't
Okay.
know if I'm right or wrong, but it's how I see it right now. You know,
Makes
so
sense.
you have the high end,
Hmm.
which is basically Landor, Pentagram, Lippincott, all these huge agencies
Hmm.
that do worldwide branding and strategy. They're high level. They can charge $1 million for a logo, basically. So yeah, very high level. And then you have on the way bottom, you have Fiverr and 99 Designs, crowdsourcing sites, all those people that charge
Craigslist.
cheap. Craigslist, exactly. Yeah, Craigslist in there. And then you have you, which you're in the middle actually. You know, once I realized that I was in the middle, I had to figure out how do I reposition myself, you know, not as a designer anymore, not as a, just a freelancer, because the problem is Fiverr and 99 Designs can compete with you being a freelancer, you know,
Right.
unless you have some sort of value. But usually, they're going to expect that you're just like everybody else on Fiverr. They're not really, thinking you're very high end. So you're right in the middle. You're on the edge of high end, and you're at the edge of low end. And the low end kind of creeps into your sector a lot more. So you have to find, you're always saying, why is that person, charging less than me? Oh, that's going to be terrible for me. It's because the clients, they don't see the value in what you're doing, and they can go to the lower end anytime they want, because in that position, you're not valuable. You're just another dot in there. Even though you're in the middle, even though you're trying to provide value as one person, I have all this stuff of all this value, you know, you probably are not, you're not positioned correctly in order to give value to the right people. You're trying to give value to the wrong people. And the wrong people don't care about your value. They don't care about what skills you have and what design. They just want something cookie cutter, ready to go, whatever it may be, you know. So, and it just makes sense. You just need to move up towards the higher end. You don't need to be where Land or Lippincott need to be. You could be somewhere around where they are, but too not too much. Just right kind of in the middle, in the white space that's kind of there. You can survive there. And of course, there's always going to be competition in any market, just figuring out that the agency world is, it's a bit saturated, but I wouldn't say, the point is market saturation doesn't exist. It only exists when you're not giving value to the client. If the you
I second that.
and forming relationships, especially because when I see so many, here's an example. So I see so many restaurants uh, on the street, next to each other, the one I go to eat at is the one I formed a relationship with, the one that I like the food there, that I personally like the food. So it's never about target. I don't know if this is, but like, it's never about target audience like a whole. It's about the individual who has, a various amounts of individuals that have a connection with your brand. It's not technically just the audience. You don't look at it as just a group of people. It's individuals having a connection with your brand, and then those individuals over time grow into an audience. So that's exactly what a target audience would be. It's not just a huge group of people. So, and that's important to understand, because then you realize, well, then I'm not in the business of trying to up my competitor. I'm in the business of creating value for the client. I'm in the business of creating a relationship with the client, something that makes them come back every time. I don't need to always say, well, I'm better than this, my feature is better than that. You can just be there, and they accept you for what you are because you've made a genuine connection with them. So I that's what, when I realized that, like, wow, it's not saturated. It's just saturated because I'm not pulling my own weight. I'm not doing my best for clients. When I realized that, you realize that the market isn't saturated at all. That's just a myth. It's a myth. Market saturation is a myth. And with positioning, especially in branding, uh, you basically are finding out what makes you different, value based, not make you different against your competitor. You can look at your competitor and you can say, hey, that what they're doing is pretty good. Maybe I'll try that. It's okay to keep up with the thing, but not like to completely be, focusing only on your competitor. Because I think Simon
Right.
Sinek says this. He says that there are two types of players. There's the infinite player and the finite player. And the finite player is the one who plays just for the end game. I mean, just to win, just to just to end the game. Get the revenue. Make the profit, survive. You know, it's all about survival. It's a very risky thing. It's not risky. It's more like a very tribal thing. It's just like that. And then you have the infinite players, which are there in for the long run. And these people, these companies understand that they'll do whatever it takes to win, you know, but what they ultimately want to be is the best overall. But they don't care about the competitor. What they care about is improving every single part of what they do as they are, and then through that, their clients, you know, see that they see that they're in the long run, and they will go with that company more than the person who's just thinking about revenue. How do I beat that company? Uh, he also said that there was a one time where he was like, he got the new Zoom from Microsoft one time, and he was like, he just went over to like he talked to an Apple CEO, and then uh, the guy says, hey, you look at this new Zoom, isn't it cool? Isn't it better than yours? It has this and so feature better than yours, And the Apple CEO turns to him, he's like, no doubt, no doubt, that's fine, I don't care.
Yeah.
Feature doesn't matter to me. They understand that sometimes that in the long term of things, they can't always be good. Sometimes they have things that are broken. Sometimes they have things. They're not trying to pretend that they're not perfect. They aren't perfect. Humans aren't perfect. And when he said that, it was like it's almost like a light bulb went up in my head. I was like, you know, that makes complete sense, because he's not faking it anymore. It's just you're just being that company. You're just being that, and people will respect you for that, because you're not trying to one up people. We already try to one up people in our lives. Companies trying to one up each other is not even it's not even attractive to us. Who cares, if if Microsoft has the better thing? I want to know that Microsoft has my back every day, no matter what.
I would even,
I don't.
yeah, just to add more to that, I would even say that people who do that and businesses who do that are actually kind of unattractive. I think that's why Zune failed, right? I mean, who talks about Zune anymore,
Yeah, no,
You know,
exactly. But apparently they had one feature that was better than the iPod at the time, but no one cared. No one cared, because the Apple belief was stronger than Microsoft. Microsoft was just trying to catch up to Apple, and Apple was just in that leader mindset. They were just like, yeah, I guess we have a product that doesn't come up to that point of view, but hey, we're Apple.
yeah.
That's it. That was it.
There's a there's a I don't know if you guys follow UFC or anything like that. I'm a huge fight fan, and there's a fighter named Conor McGregor, and this kind of translates. He says something that winners focus on winning, and losers focus on winners, and it's kind of the same deal, Like people who pay attention to their competition more than they pay attention to creating value are people who are always going to be second. They're never going to be the forerunners. They're never going to be ahead of the pack. They're going to be a part of the pack. And as humans, I feel like we're tribal.
Yeah.
You go back, and sometimes that's comfortable. If you're making enough money, that's comfortable. It's those who decide to go out of the norm and focus on their own unique proposition rather than focusing on the guy down the street who offers $35, I don't know, page design or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. At the end, I don't know if we could just like sum this up to be yourself, you know, just seriously, like when you don't focus on competition, you know, I mean, this even goes into like Buddhism or something like that. Just like you don't focus on your competition, you're just living life. You're just enjoying it to the fullest. And by not focusing on your competitor, you focus on bettering yourself and then end up beating your competitor. How cool is that? You don't even
It kind of
notice it
sounds
sometimes.
right. It kind of sounds like a really bad breakup. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of those dudes, you know, who when they broken up, they're super obsessed, you know, with what their ex is doing, and you know they try to like one up, you know, their life, you know, like, oh, I started working out or whatever, instead of actually like the real purpose behind it is actually like who you are, and actually, you know, like uplifting yourself and focusing on who you are. And those people tend to succeed. You know, those people are.
I love that analogy. That's a great analogy.
Those people end up, you know, or gain the upper hand, I guess, in that sense, you know, if you want to break it down like that. But yeah.
Yeah. Felipe, any thoughts on this?
Nah, man, good stuff. I'm still thinking about the archetypes.
Oh, he's thinking about archetypes. Yeah. No.
I'm like, damn, I gotta make my avatars around those.
Yeah, it usually becomes that. Yeah.
Wait, what about archetypes and like what?
We're talking about like archetypes in branding. Basically, like human beings have these instincts and feelings inside them that manifest themselves, you know, in themselves every day. So what we do is we project them onto brands instead of, you know, a brand is never built. It's just felt, and then that feeling is projected onto that. So if you're in the hero archetype, you know, you're in a part of your life that you are, you know, facing obstacles, overcoming challenges, looking for a goal to reach. Uh, and so Nike could speak to you in that way a lot. And then you're like, wow, Nike really gets me, you know? But Nike is only projecting what you already feel inside. It's never never really like thought about you. It just thought about, you know, this is what we stand for. And then people came along, and, you know, they identified with you. It's basically what archetypes are.
That seems to be like what's going to be evolving, you know, in terms of marketing and you know, just actually kind of sticking to people, you know, in that sense is a company, because before it used to be, you know, let's make a company feel as big as they are, you know, huge and omnipotent. And now it's reversed. People like one-on-one interaction. So now people try to make companies feel small and personal. And Nike's a person. Nike's a feeling. Nike's this rather than this giant corporation that only paid like, I don't know, like $100 for their iconic logo or something. You know, like Nike is you know, Nike exactly. is a person. It has an archetype. It has a personality. It's just kind of the way things are now. Wow. And that's interesting too, because in core, like, because both of you are part of that now, you know, in the future with core and everything, the archetypes archetypes were mainly but anyways, whoever's watching the replay on this on the Graphic Designers Tips Lounge, that's another Facebook group. Highly recommend, if you're serious about design, if you're serious about getting real with your business, I highly recommend joining there. Anyways, side note.
And if you act now, we'll throw in.
Yeah. We're a free advertisement for Chris Doe.
Free advertisement for Chris Doe right there. Yeah, and if you act now, we'll give you one of those copper pans that don't spin. Yeah.
Okay.
So all side note from that.
I fucking hate
you.
Oh my god. Okay. All right, continue, Nate.
Yeah. Anyways. Anyways, so it's interesting that the archetype was mainly defined in the individual that you were targeting in terms of you know, user personas, not the actual business, you know.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how you turned it into that. It's kind of a interesting thing.
Yeah, but like nobody does this, consciously. They
Right.
just feel it and they go with it because it's a human thing. Therefore, if it's a human thing, it's intuition, and it just becomes that. So Nike wasn't thinking we should use the hero archetype. They already embodied it in themselves through their intuition. And people
Right.
outside as well are the same thing, outside looking at Nike, they feel that feeling from the archetype within them, you know, and they just identify with that, you know. So,
Yeah.
and there's a theory that I think I already discussed this with Felipe, but I'll do a recap, is that in different periods of a person's life, they will experience different archetypes. So your first part of an archetype journey is when you're the innocent, and the innocent is the one who is gullible, who is who's just came into the world, you know,
Right.
everything is good, everything is fine, and that's a good feeling, to be the innocent. Sometimes you need to be the innocent to have like fresh perspectives on things, because you may be jaded on one subject and you're just like, well, maybe I should come back to this innocent mindset, this innocent archetype, just so I can, get a new perspective on this instead of, kind of judging it. And the other one, it could be after that, you experience like a loss, you experience people screwing you over, then you become the orphan, and the orphan is the feeling of abandonment, the feeling that, no one is there for you. And so then you you basically you blame other people for your problems, but you have to get over that and you have to gain some independence. And then third stage is the hero archetype, which I've discussed a lot, and this basically means is that you overcome obstacles, you're basically fighting, you're struggling through life, you
Mhm.
enjoy the journey to become this person. And then after that, after you conquer the hero, you become the ruler, and the ruler uh, actually, it's actually supposed to be after the warrior, you become the caregiver, and the caregiver
Right.
is someone who stops fighting against things and is more about giving back to things. And then you have, after that, you have the lover, which is it's all about falling in love with yourself, forgiving yourself for things. And then you have the ruler, and the ruler is basically the owner of your own psyche, your own domain, your own mind. So many brands that focus on the ruler archetype are showing you that you're the man, you are the person, you are the best, you've conquered everything. So
Mhm.
many, it's an elitist, in a way, it's kind of an elitist feeling, because you
Right.
feel like you're the shit, after a while, because you've just done everything, you feel like you've contributed so much, influenced people.
Right.
Then you basically become the fool again. You become the fool, and it's interesting
The
that
cycle.
yeah, but it's interesting that the journey ends with you becoming the fool, not the innocent, but the fool. And the fool not in a negative sense, but the fool being a person that understands that you can't control life, that you just go with the flow. The fool doesn't care about control, power, or anything that the ruler or the creator cares about. All they care about is just enjoying life, looking at where it takes them, and just being molded through that. So
Mhm.
you're in that non-judgmental state, you're in this blissful state, you're definitely out of your mind most of the time, you're not trying to control things, and things usually work out well for the fool, because the fool could become the sage after a while, because they're so open to experiences, that once they're so open to experiences, they become more knowledgeable about the world. And so you become the sage, and the
Right.
sage is the person who is knowledgeable about everything. And the thing is, it's very messy, these type of archetypes. This could be one way, this is the ultimate journey, how it goes,
Mhm.
but there are many ways that this journey could go, and different archetypes that you find out in your life could come across, you know and these things are very important in branding, because it's not about just pinpointing that one person. About that, you have to just understand the journey. And when you understand, like, hey, where does the hero come from, you know instead of
Mhm.
just looking at the hero like he's the person who wants to struggle against obstacles, blah 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 blah, you can see that, where did the hero come from? The hero came from the orphan, because the orphan was abandoned, didn't feel good, didn't lacked self-discipline, self-awareness. You can see in the backstory of the hero the orphan, and as you can see in the backstory of the orphan, the innocent. It's very interesting when you can do that, because then you find out something new about your user, probably a past event, and you technically can be right about it, because usually what prompts a hero is usually an orphan. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
So what have you guys done in terms of positioning yourself, following that theory?
Positioning. Well, I think I forgot to talk about, like, doing three things about positioning is doing what you love, what you're skilled at, and what you get mostly paid for. That's another part of positioning that's very important. I kind of glossed over that because I was just focusing on just value based, which is also important. But like those three things are very important, because you need to know what you're skilled at, because that's what people pay you for. They'll pay you for the value of your skill, and the thing that you love, which you won't, be like, oh, every day I have to do this thing that pays a lot, but it's not really what I want to do. So you need to be loving what you do.
Enough about me.
What?
I say enough about me.
Yeah, enough about me. Yeah. Okay. And then shit, what was the last one? Doing what you love. Oh yeah, and how much you get paid for. So doing what you love, being paid for it, and what you're skilled at. Three things basically. And those are important because you need to understand, I think, Gary Vee says this a lot very well. He just says self-awareness, understanding what your skill level is at and what you love to do. And then if that stuff pays, it gets you paid for that,
And
that's how you run a business that you love and that's practical at the same time. So
now,
it's not just about what you love, it's about what you are skilled at and paid for. Yeah.
let's talk target audience, because or whoever you're trying to target.
Yeah.
I feel that I read this or I heard this recently, which to me it made sense. Is you want to target people just like you, and
Correct.
for me that made sense, because I was always trying to target my ideal clients, which are bigger than me, and I felt uncomfortable, and that's why I couldn't reach out to them. But once I heard that, then I'm like, okay, so I'll reach out to people like me, individuals, and I'll start building it. Eventually, as I grow as a business, then I can go for bigger business. But till now, I'll be comfortable with the real small businesses.
Right.
Real small business.
Like, no, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, I think it's an evolution, really. I wouldn't advise people to, target the really, really big agencies right off the top. I mean, big companies right off the top, or because like maybe you're just not ready for that yet, So I understand completely what you're saying, because the best clients are going to be the ones in line with your beliefs.
And I think
when
in
you
the
want,
lounge, especially in the lounge, especially where you hear all these people that are having trouble and talking, they don't have the confidence, and I think it's because they're trying to talk to someone that's not in their target audience.
That's interesting. Yeah, I can totally see that. But their target audience is the people who's in line with their beliefs. It's not just profession. It has to be, ideals. People don't do business with you because of your process. They do business with you because of you. So you need to be in line with their beliefs, and you need to be like, I can trust this guy. I can be cooperative with this guy. I know that this guy isn't doing anything wrong. He's doing what I want to do. He's starting a business just as I am. I would love to work with someone like that, you know. But then you kind of get into the thing about like sometimes these type of people, especially startups, you know, they're not going to render you as much money as you would like. So then you have to figure out, how am I going to target a more higher clientele, but is also in line with my beliefs. So that's kind of the stepping stone,
Right.
because you will start low and then you'll have to go high. Is what I'm planning right now, you know, to
That's what
do.
I'm doing. Yeah.
The startups, they don't give that much money, to be honest. Sometimes they really don't.
Nope.
You have to sometimes pay in equity. I don't get that a lot as well, so I'd rather be paid immediately.
Yeah, I
So,
definitely see that a lot.
But guess what? Once you do something for these startups and people start asking who did that,
that's
you know?
true. You never know what will happen, really. You know, you just need. I think anything more than anything is just action. You know, find clients, work for them. You know, and see where it comes out. You know, if nothing's working, you plan a strategy of of what you're gonna do next. You know, it's not it's not rocket science. You just need to do the work.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's lots of people that expect an immediate return for what they do. I mean, if you think about most other jobs or other things, you basically you get an immediate return or you get an expected return. With design and starting up, especially with kind of fishing, putting your reel out there, seeing what bites, seeing what takes. It's a long-term game. Gary Vee talks about it too. I was watching an interview with him. Actually, no, one of his Ask Gary Vee shows, and he was saying that he'd always choose in most cases. So I guess it's kind of like contradictory, but like in most cases he'll most likely choose long-term paybacks, long-term return than any form of short-term return.
Yep. I'm down with that.
Yeah, that makes great sense.
It's definitely patience.
Oh yeah, patience. That thing is so important. Patience.
Very important. Something I struggle with.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Like sometimes you have just a days when you're just not getting any clients and you're just like, what's going on? And am I even supposed to be in this business? You know, why am I doing this with myself? You know, why am I torturing myself? But I think it's all part of the whole journey thing. You know,
Sure is.
I would say I'm in the hero part of the journey, the hero part of the archetype journey. But it's funny that I don't identify with Nike so much. It's probably because I analyze them too much that I start stop losing the magic from them. Yeah, because like the public isn't, they don't really care about branding. They're just feeling the emotions as they come to them.
Hey, Nate. Is it Nate or Nathan?
Nathan.
Nathan. Where are you located?
I am out here in Utah.
Okay.
Wow. Utah. How's Utah?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it here. Nice communities.
Is it like wide open plains? Yeah.
No. Well, some of it is like there's parts where there's absolutely nothing in like a road, but you've got kind of the best of both worlds. You got mountains, so you can go into the mountains and play and do hikes. I'm looking out the window right now, and the mountain's not even, I want to say, like a mile or two away. Like I just go up there, hike. There's tons of lakes over here. Yeah. It's beautiful, and the tech community here is growing, and it's pretty vibrant. I mean,
that's interesting. Is that the Midwest? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, it is the Midwest.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. There's some reason that like creativity is moving towards those type of places. I'm not sure why. Especially like Texas as well. I'm like, wow, what the hell is going on? You know?
Yeah, they're ditching California now. They're starting to come
Yeah,
here.
yeah, they're definitely just in California. It's
How long
getting
have you been?
expensive.
How long you're from there, or you moved there?
Well, I'm from Utah.
Okay.
I've been, during my childhood, I was, I think in 2 other states, but yeah, most of my childhood is in Utah. I was born here.
All right, man. Well,
What about you guys?
Your team beat my team yesterday. So, I'm in Phoenix, but I'm from Long Beach, California. I still associate myself with California more than Arizona, to tell you the truth.
California, nice. Dude, you could visit Chris Doe.
Yeah.
He's right over
Yeah.
there. Like, go to
And
one
one
of his
day,
live
that's
sessions.
on the that's on the
He does
plan.
like, yeah, he does like those live recordings. You could definitely go to one of them.
Yeah, I'm usually there like 5 times a year.
My brother-in-law's from
Oh.
California, so they go up there a bunch, and I've been wanting to tag along because I've always wanted to go to California. It looks so cool in like the movies.
I know, right? Yeah.
Nah, you'll be disappointed. You'll be sitting in traffic for hours just to move a mile. But yeah.
Oh,
cool.
that's a big bugaboo for me. That's such a pet peeve is slow traffic. And the worst part about Utah are the drivers because they kind of just invent their own way of driving. It's so bad here. Like, and
They invented their own way of driving.
I'm serious. Like they'll create their own lanes. Like if your car will fit, they will do it.
Oh wow. Okay.
All right, guys. Well, I apologize, but I gotta go now.
All right. See you, Felipe.
Nice chatting. All right, man. Peace.
Yeah.
All right, see you, Felipe. Nice
See you.
meeting you.
Likewise.
Peace out.